Imagine the scene: a modern operating theatre, the rhythmic beep of monitors, a team of surgeons working with precision and calm. The tools they use, the techniques they employ, are the pinnacle of medical science. But what if I told you that the very foundations of this life-saving practice were laid over 1,000 years ago, not in a gleaming modern hospital, but in the heart of the Islamic Golden Age? Let's journey back in time to the magnificent city of Cordoba in the 10th century. Here, in the bustling capital of Al-Andalus, lived a man whose genius would forever change the face of medicine. His name was Al-Zahrawi, and he is rightfully known as the father of modern surgery. Born in 936 near Cordoba, Abu al-Qasim al-Zahrawi grew up in an era of unparalleled intellectual vibrancy. Al-Andalus was a beacon of learning, a place where scholars from different cultures and faiths gathered to share knowledge. Imagine a young Al-Zahrawi, his mind ablaze with curiosity, spending countless hours in the great libraries of Cordoba. He wasn't just reading, he was devouring the wisdom of the ancients, studying Greek and Roman medical texts, and questioning everything. He saw a disconnect between the theoretical knowledge of the past and the practical needs of patients. He believed that a physician must be more than a scholar. They must be a craftsman, a healer with skilled hands. This conviction set him on a path to not just practice medicine, but to redefine it entirely. He became the court physician to the Caliph of Cordoba, a position that gave him the resources and the opportunity to dedicate his life to his true passion, the art and science of surgery. Over a span of 50 years, Al-Zahrawi poured his life's work into a single, monumental creation. It wasn't just a book, it was a legacy. He compiled a 30-volume encyclopedia of medical practice titled the Kitab al-Tazrif, or the Method of Medicine. This was no ordinary text. It was a comprehensive guide covering everything from pharmacology to nutrition. But it was the 30th and final volume, dedicated solely to surgery, that would echo through the centuries. This volume was a masterpiece of clarity and detail, filled with intricate illustrations of surgical procedures and the tools required for them. For the first time in history, surgery was presented not as a brutal last resort performed by barbers, but as a refined medical specialty grounded in anatomical knowledge and meticulous technique. The Al-Tazrif became the definitive surgical textbook in Europe for the next 500 years, shaping the education of generations of physicians. What made Al-Zahrawi's work so revolutionary? It was his relentless focus on innovation and patient care. Before him, internal bleeding was often a death sentence. Al-Zahrawi pioneered the use of catgut for internal stitches. Why catgut? Because he observed it was a natural material that the body could absorb on its own, eliminating the need for a second surgery to remove the stitches. This single innovation saved countless lives. He was also the first to describe in detail the technique of ligation, tying off blood vessels to prevent catastrophic bleeding during amputations and other major operations. He was a keen observer, noting and documenting conditions that had never been formally described. For example, he was the first physician to provide a clear clinical description of the hereditary nature of hemophilia, observing how it ran in certain families. He developed procedures for everything from crushing bladder stones and safely delivering babies, to treating fractures and dislocations with methods that are still recognizable today. A surgeon is only as good as his tools, and Al-Zahrawi was a master inventor. He understood that the crude instruments of his time were inadequate for the delicate work he envisioned. So, he designed his own. The 30th volume of his encyclopedia is filled with diagrams of over 200 surgical instruments, many of which were his own invention. We see the ancestors of our modern scalpels, forceps designed for extracting foreign objects, surgical needles with fine points for delicate suturing, and specialized hooks and levers for orthopedic procedures. He created the first syringe for draining fluids and administering medicine. He even designed hidden scalpels for lancing abscesses in a way that would reduce a patient's fear. Each tool was designed with a specific purpose in mind, reflecting his deep understanding of human anatomy and the challenges of surgery. Looking at his designs is like looking at the blueprints for the modern surgical toolkit. The light of Al-Zahrawi's genius did not fade with the end of the Islamic Golden Age. His influence spread like wildfire. As the Kitab al-Tazrif was translated into Latin in the 12th century, it became the standard surgical text in the nascent universities of Europe, from Salerno to Montpellier. European surgeons, for centuries, learned their craft by studying his words and copying his illustrations. His emphasis on a systematic, evidence-based approach to surgery laid the groundwork for the scientific revolution in medicine. When you see a modern surgeon use a specific type of forceps or apply a particular suturing technique, you are witnessing the echo of Al-Zahrawi's legacy. The principles he established, sterilization, careful dissection, patient-centered care, and the importance of a well-designed toolkit, are the very cornerstones of surgery today. His work forms an unbreakable chain connecting the ancient healers of the past to the life-saving surgeons of the present and future. So, the next time you think of modern medicine, remember the story of Al-Zahrawi. He was more than a physician. He was an artist, an inventor, and a visionary. In an age when surgery was often feared and misunderstood, he elevated it to a science, giving hope and healing to millions. He demonstrated that with knowledge, skill, and compassion, the impossible becomes possible. His monumental contributions remind us that the quest for better health is a shared human journey, one that builds upon the wisdom of those who came before us. Al-Zahrawi's light, ignited in 10th century Cordoba, continues to shine brightly in every operating room around the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more journeys into the history of science and medicine. And don't forget to share this video to help spread the story of this incredible pioneer. See you in the next one.